Nope. Sorry. It won't let me go back and check, but I'm sure you guys believe me. I was just throwing about it. I was like, what's going on? I thought. So they done that. They still do the Voice to Skull program for me, which is continuous, 24/7. Your daughter's a murderer. Your brother's a murderer. Larry Ackerman's a murderer. Because, like I said before, you guys have heard me. My last name was Ammerman. All my friends were Ackermans. My good friend was Anderson. My doctor was Dr. Lind. That is my last name. And I worked in the ER for 15 years. Jared Nelson, Sarah Nelson. So, I knew quite a few people in the town. I was a bartender to begin with, and it's a small town. 4,000 or 5,000 people, And then working in the ER, for 15 years, I met a lot of people there too. And my ex-husband's father owned the Crystal Tavern and more there and sold it to his son, and therefore. So, then his dad lived here his whole life too. So, however, what I'm trying to say in the long story is we know everybody. And so they use all these Ackerman, Anderson, it's your stepdaughter, it's Levi's godmother, godfather, to confuse you. And I'm honestly just on here to tell you guys that, I could really use some prayers. Because 7 years of hearing, after being abused, I don't need I'm sorry, remember, I don't need that. And then having this screaming, like a screaming match, like there's 4 or 5 of them, and they'll try to make me think a word, and then I say that sentence. It's so bizarre. In my mind, I'll say it. When I do talk, like I'm talking right now, I can still hear it, but not as loud. At night, they get us, as we all know. At night, it's horrible because we're in one spot. So when you're laying in your bed, in your own home, they hurt you physically by no-touch torture, and it hurts really bad. Sorry, you guys. When I was married to my ex-husband, this started, and we hadn't filed for a divorce yet, which I did not want. And supposedly he didn't want it neither. And I had to lay in my bed with my husband. Every night. And be tortured. What am I going to say to him, right? I was seeing things outside all the time by the holograms, That was very real. I remember seeing, like, they're holograms, like you see in a TV, black and white, like a spaceship. And it wasn't a real spaceship. You guys get that? It was like a hologram, like a picture-on-picture pixels that they put out there by satellite. And I'm going, wow. I mean, my husband thought I was totally insane. You know what? Back then, I don't blame him. I just, I just really need some prayers. I don't know. I was talking to my friend that lives in Canada, and then she lives in Florida in the summer. And she's on the program too, but hers is completely different. And we just can't believe when we sit and talk to each other. We talk almost every day. And we just can't believe that something so horrific. Could be done. I was saying something about, she said something about Maria, something about Bill 702, that there is supposed to be in April if they're going to pass it again or not. I mean, I couldn't tell you guys the last time that I got to lay in my bed and actually be comfortable. I do have a few friends from church and Bible study that truly, honestly believe me. 100%. One's an ex-police lieutenant, retired. Another person has went through some type of spiritual warfare. And the versions of spiritual warfare can be very different. I've also read something about Psalms, is it 38 or 58, which is about generational curses. You know, I look into everything because, and read everything because I'm just thinking that it's just going to go ding, 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 ding. I just, right now I'm actually really scared to lay down. Like I said, I'm 56 years old. I'll be 57 in July. And, I have bone hip. Yeah, some people are like, hey, that's really common. I don't understand how I could have, because that's where they would, like, people call it broadcast, people call it microwave, people call it radiation, do weapons, it's all, and they would do it on my hip. And now I can't even lay on my right hip. I've done a lot of stuff. I'm thinking about doing like a nanotech cleanse. My girlfriend, she has parasites, proven by labs. And especially when a full moon comes up, they act. They're all over. She can feel them. And she's been doing like a parasite cleanse. There are certain things at health food stores, if you find the right people, they can tell you what to take for that. It hasn't 100% subsided. But honestly, I don't know if this is going to subside. It just seems to be, it wasn't as bad now as it was in the beginning. In the beginning, I was running for my life for months, married, with a 16-year-old son, because I thought my husband was trying to get me killed. I even told the police that I knew, and they didn't do anything about it. I guess you have to be dead or beaten bloody with a gunshot wound for them to actually go, oh, maybe she is telling the truth. You know, I try so hard, and I get all this ambition up to like go to the library because I don't have a computer. But I have all these pamphlets like on my phone, and I have a 3-ring binder that's 5 inches thick of patents, and not patents, but you know, stuff on MK Ultra back in the 40s, you know, all this government stuff and some gang stalking stuff. And about nanotech, how people get the vaccines. You know, there's so much stuff. But what the problem is when they're abusing that. And they're physically hurting people by no-touch torture. And trying to drive them mad by the Voice to Skull program. You know, like I was talking to my girlfriend, my best friend, who was brought into my life. And it's a long story, but we started working together, and I was at the place where I worked for 2 weeks. I've been there 2 years now, and she showed up a week later and lives in this campground area that you can live all year round, taking care of her mom. So we started talking about it. I'm like, yeah, my mom and dad, they were snowbirds, and they went down to Victoria Palms, where they stayed in down in Texas. She goes, what? I go, yeah. She goes, oh my goodness. Hold on a second. So she texts these 2 people named Kathy and George. Come to find out, they knew my mom and dad pretty well. So I do believe that she was an angel brought into my life, but when I talked to her about this Voice to Skull program, and like I told you, she is an ex-police lieutenant, okay? And I says to her, they'll sit there and say, it's your brother, it's your sister, it's this, you know, and all these people to confuse you. And I looked at Tamara, and she tells me this at least once a week. Karen, if it really wasn't people, they would have been at your house a long time ago. So it's not them. Out of all the people that I know and everybody they've said, there isn't one person that has come to me in this stuff and said anything, because it's not any of them. They want me to think it is. Excuse me. You know, I come home, and the Voice to Skull program, I don't know if for you guys, but it doesn't stop. Oh, constantly. And we're like, oh, you're schizophrenic. No, you do not hear voices at the age of 50 years old of your family and your friends and your brother's coming, your sister's 50 miles away, and these don't stop. It's your brother Michael. He was in this house. It's your Uncle Wally. It's over and over. Because I have a really large family. I mean, when my mom remarried, there was 7 of us. Yeah. And then on my dad's side, because I'm the firstborn and the first grandchild on both sides of the family, so I'm the oldest out of them all. I have 1 brother and 2 biological sisters, 1 half sister, and I have 1 deceased stepbrother, a stepbrother, and 4 stepsisters. I mean, it's just, I have so many people, so it's almost, it's just, I went to my dad's. I don't know if I told you that, but I found my dad because one of my cousins in Colorado Springs said, hey, Karen, your dad's really sick and he's dying. Well, I don't know why my dad don't talk to me. He didn't even go to my own wedding and walk me down the aisle. I had a beautiful wedding. It was so beautiful, you guys. 475 people. It was gorgeous. Nobody ever thought that he'd marry me. We were together 13 years, and no one ever thought that he was going to marry me anyway. My dad wouldn't even walk me down the aisle. And I know my dad didn't like him. But why wouldn't you walk your own daughter down the aisle and just let it go for your daughter's special day? He didn't even really know him. He barely even talked to him. He barely came over. He was a semi-driver. He was gone all the time. So he made his mom, because he ended up marrying my mother-in-law, after we got married. Yes, I know. But they loved each other. They're divorced now. And she was a pathological liar. And her sister even said it. And I still loved her for who she was. And I don't know why, but my dad just won't even tell me what I did wrong. So I go and I find him. Somebody found out the apartment complex he lives in Eden Prairie. So I drove all the way down there. Because he was dying. Some nice lady at the reception desk said I'm not supposed to do this, but she was an angel, and she gave me, slid across a piece of paper saying what apartment he was in. So I walk out there and I'm thinking I'm going to hear vent machines and, going, oh. No, he's on the phone with, I think, my half-sister or one of them on speaker talking about what she's going to bring by for groceries. I knocked on the door. He said, come in, come in. I opened the door and I just stood there. And he stood there and he looked at me. And he goes, you're not going to believe who's here. And she goes, who? Karen. And she goes, good luck with that. I'm going, what does that even mean? I am just so tired of nobody in my family believing me. I have it on divorce papers. Mrs. Ammerman wants Mr. Ammerman to come over to their marital home to feel what it feels like being electrocuted. That was in 2019. Text messages that I would send him, he printed off and put them in the text. Voices 24/7 out of the walls in the speakers, because that's what I thought it was. I thought, who's messing with me? I didn't know what voice to skull program was. I didn't know what any of this was. I was scared to death. But I survived. But I just want my mom, my dad. I just want my family to believe me what I am saying, and nobody will even take the time to listen to me. I could print out copies of the page that says that and copies of the page in the divorce papers and make a little pamphlet. If that makes me feel good, well, I'll probably do it. But do I think they'll actually read it? You know, my own daughter doesn't even call me. She lied and said that I left her home with bad men and all this stuff. I'm going, what? That never happened. Where did that come from? We lived a pretty great life. But anyway, I'm gonna check off here. I just wanted to say hi and thanks for listening, you guys. And a couple extra prayers would be great, okay? Thanks. Bye. Love you guys. Stay strong.